Now, the topic that I'm covering is all about how we can prevent that devastating potential loss of memories. Obviously, the context is everything that's been going on for so many people right here in the United States, let alone outside of America. There's so much going on that is causing Mother Nature is just kind of on a rampage right now. Let's just be honest. And so between the floods, the fires, the hurricanes, and everything, we do have people who are losing their actual tangible memories. Is that as important as maybe losing your home? Of course not, right? But you and I both can probably attest to the fact that aside from the people that we love the most, and our home itself, and even our pets, it's our tangible memories that really would be so devastating to lose as well. Some of you watching, if you have experienced this, I really, really hope that you are here to chime in and tell us what has worked for you or what hasn't worked, or where your struggles are. We're going to circle back to how we can help each other with that at the end of the broadcast. But I am one person. We are one company. We're just a piece of the greater solution to try to help people understand how to prevent disastrous loss. It's devastating, and we want to help others understand that there are ways that you can prevent that from happening. So that's kind of the purpose of this broadcast and what we're going to be talking about. The main thing that I think a lot of people think, and most of you may be guilty of the same thing I've been guilty of many times, which is that's not going to happen to me. You have that mentality of, well, I'm not in the tornado zone and we don't get hurricanes and we're definitely not on a fault line for earthquakes. And well, here's the thing. Did you ever think about the possibility that maybe a pipe randomly bursts in your basement and all of a sudden you've got a foot of water in the bottom of your house? I mean, there's so many ways that disasters happen, and none of us are immune to these things actually happening to us. And so the first thing I would invite you to consider is to just not think that this will ever happen to you. I am not a doomsday girl. I don't want people to feel freaked out. We want to help. And that's the point of this conversation, okay? So the best thing you can do is protect your memories the best way that you can. And as I'm gonna go through some tips here, my plea is to not be overwhelmed or freaked out by any of it because there's a lot we're gonna cover. But even if you just pick up on one or two things that you're like, okay, I can do that, that's manageable, that's better than nothing. And there's a whole lot of people, most of you watching are in some way a memory keeper, whether you call yourself a scrapbooker or a photojournalist or a documenter or whatever you call yourself. A lot of us have a lot of great, amazing, tangible memories that are so precious and personal to us. And the last thing we want to do is lose them. All right. Okay. As I get into these tips, let me tell you something really fun. And this is why I'm smiling, because we have chatted with our favorite scanner company, Fujitsu. And I'm going to show you the scanners. We're going to talk about the tips and the scanners. And I'm going to get to all of that and show you what I'm talking about. But here's the fun thing before I even get into it. We asked them if they might be willing to give one away to you, to one of you. And so if you're watching this live, this obviously does not apply later. And if you're watching this back, and we're so glad that you're here if you're watching this later. But if you happen to be here live, then if you click on share right now and anytime during the broadcast, and you share this broadcast with your Facebook friends and family and sharing it like that, then we are going to choose randomly one of you who shares to win this Fujitsu scanner, which I'll be showing you. It's the IX500, okay? So click on share. Don't even hesitate, because you know this is going to be good stuff. Make sure your family and friends know about it. For the scanner as a bonus, yes, but more importantly, because this information can really help people prevent the loss of their memories. Shall we get into it? Is there anything I need to know before?
No, a lot of people are sharing their stories about pictures and things and memories that they've lost in various things. And someone mentioned in Arizona, lightning strikes are becoming really commonplace. And so even though we're in Arizona and we don't feel that need, you know.
We're not immune. We're not. Yes, lightning strikes, and also we get flash floods here. And that's a very real issue that's affected some people. We don't see a lot of it, but I, for one, am totally guilty of thinking, we're in Arizona. We really don't have a whole lot of natural disasters. And you better believe that in the last 2 weeks, since everything has gone down with Hurricane Harvey and Irma and Jose, and the list goes on, the fires that are happening everywhere. It feels like half of our Western United States are on fire. This has definitely lit the fire, no pun intended, under my tail to get busy scanning our scrapbooks, because you just never know. And it's funny, if you've ever been in one of my classes recently, something I've been sharing a lot in my in-person classes is this idea, this notion of, look, if you have something happen that is devastating and you completely lose all of your memories, that's devastating and hurtful and like so sad, but you can never downplay the blessing that it was to preserve the memories and to actually go through the motions of doing that, which helps you to not only remember but feel how blessed you are. And there's that like emotional, psychological component to it. And so I've always said, you know what, even if somebody robs my house and takes all of my scrapbooks, it's still okay. And I've really taken a hard look at me saying those words and going, but would it be? Yeah, I do think it'd be okay, but why would I not want to back up and preserve the thousands of hours of worth of memory keeping that I've done for over 20 years? Why would I just be okay with those being gone? I'm not. I really don't feel okay about that. I don't think anyone would feel okay about their treasured memories just being gone. So Molly's saying that a lot of you are sharing your stories, and I appreciate that. And of course, she'll interrupt me at any point if we need to share something specific. But it can happen to anyone. Let's dive into the tips, okay? I've got 11 specific things. If you are not in a position where you can take notes, or you really just want to try to remember something, what I'm sharing here in this format is really based on the blog post that's already live. We took it live last week, sometime?
2 weeks. Oh.
No, last week, I think. Last week. And it's right there toward the top of the blog at beckyhiggins.com, or anytime ever you could just go to the blog and search disasters or natural disasters and memories, and it's going to be right there. It's a very robust blog post, and it has a lot of this information in it. So here we go. Number one and two kind of blend together, because you'll see why. First of all, back up, back up, back up. Back up. That is in and of itself an entire thing that you should understand and know about. It doesn't have to be completely overwhelming, but for most people it is. And so if you just do a quick search on my blog for backup or backing up, we have lots of information that's already there. And it's linked in the blog post that I was just talking about with disasters and memories. The bottom line with backing up is that if something should happen to your scrapbooks, whether they are scrapbooks or photo books or photo albums, journals, or any of those things, if they are in some way backed up, and we'll come to the scanning part in a second, then if you lose them, what does that mean? You have them in digital format, which means you can print them again. And to me, that is like such a comfort that if something happened to all of my albums, if I could at least print them again and they're in like a photo book format, I would be really okay with that. That is the next best thing to the original, in my opinion. Speaking of opinions, if you have anything that you want to share, I really hope that you will chime in. Like I said, that's why we're doing Facebook Live, so it's a discussion and not just me spewing off ideas. Okay, so backing up, number one. Number two, scan everything. Now, this seems probably overwhelming for a lot of people, but it's all relative. So I'm probably at one end of an extreme spectrum in the scrapbooking world. So let's talk about scrapbooking first. For a lot of you watching who have scrapbooks, some of you might have a few, some of you might have 20. I have 140, which I don't know if I should be embarrassed or like, I don't know, there's just so many. And the reason I have so many is because I've been doing this like my whole life, okay? So when it comes to scanning everything, I just want to share my own personal thing of what I'm doing very briefly, and then I'm actually going to work on a blog post that covers all of this, so that if you are in my similar situation and you are interested in backing up or scanning and backing up all of your scrapbooks, then you'll have something to go to as a guide. At least it's a suggestion. So what I'm doing with my scanning is I have done the math to figure out if I have 140 of these, and really they're not all 12 by 12. I have half of them are 8.5 by 11 from when I first started scrapbooking. A bunch of them are 12 by 12. I have a whole lot of smaller albums that are theme albums. Every one of those counts as a scrapbook to me. And so what I did is I figured out just really quickly, well, how long does it take to scan an entire scrapbook? Can you see this at least a little bit?
Yep,
okay,
totally.
So you can see that this is a pretty traditional, creative scrapbook. You know, where this is my family album. This is volume 35. And when I go through a typical scrapbook like this, which I have done just over the past week, I've started this process because I'm not just saying it to say it. I really mean that I am doing this with my scrapbooks. It takes me about 30 minutes on average to scan an entire album. So 30 minutes for me is, I mean, I've done this with about a half a dozen albums so far, so I know that that's average. Sometimes it takes longer if I have memorabilia and pockets, which I don't in this one. So this one will probably be like 20 minutes or something. But there are some albums I've done where I really do have a lot of stuff, like magazines and programs and things that I feel like those are worth scanning, just those items. So I'll pull them out, I'll scan those one at a time in between the pages. So if I have about 140 albums, which I know is not the typical situation, but I'm just telling you for the sake of big picture thinking, and you can do the same math for you. If I do that, then it's probably going to take me about a total of 70 hours. No one has 70 hours. But if I chip away and decide that I'm gonna do an album or two every day, and by the way, it's super enjoyable to go back and look at all your scrapbooks that maybe you haven't seen in a while. Or the other option is, if maybe time is a crunch, but I have the money to pay someone who could use the money, then maybe making up numbers to round things out for convenience sake, if I pay someone $10 an hour to scan my albums, then now we're looking at 140 albums, so it's 70 hours of labor, so that's $700. So maybe it's worth it to me. I haven't even made that decision yet, guys. I'm just sharing with you what's going through my mind of if this is so important to me to get this done like this week or this week and next week. Well, 70 hours is not 1 week's worth. Actually,
well, I mean,
if you
didn't
depends.
work, if you had nothing else going
If I had nothing else going on, but if I wanted to pay somebody, you know what I'm saying, like a high schooler, or we've got high schoolers, our seniors local here that have half days on Mondays, and some of them have half day every day. Anyway, my point is that you could always pay someone to do it if you have a tremendous amount of work to do and not enough time. Now, on that note, and speaking of scanning, I'm going to show you the scanners. We understand that libraries, if you haven't checked with your local library yet, they might have a scanner that can do the job. So let me show you. I'm going to start with, I've got two scanners I'm going to show you. This is the big one. Did you have something really quick?
No. Well, someone was asking, how do you scan pocket pages? Does the glare of the plastic?
Oh, okay. So can I be totally honest with that? I actually haven't started scanning Project Life pages. So that's a really great question that I would love to answer, and I will when I've actually done it, because in my mind, I'm going back, and I actually started, this was my husband's decision, not even mine. Go figure. He decided that we should start in 2002 when our firstborn was born, because even though I've been scrapbooking for 8 years before that, he said that if something should happen tomorrow, that feels like the most important to us is when our children started coming along. It's all important. We're not saying something's more important than another time or another person, or you just have to start somewhere. And so I think that we'll go 2002 to current, and then we'll go back and finish the rest. So I don't know the answer, because what's going to happen with this scanner is this is called, I want to call it the right thing. There we go. ScanSnap SV600. Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay, that's what it looks like. This link to this scanner is in the blog post that I keep referring to, or you can search it on Amazon, but if you want a direct link, it's right there in the blog post. The company that makes this is Fujitsu. I am not sponsored. I want to put that out there because this isn't about who reached out to me and wants me to talk about their product. My husband actually found this scanner a year or so ago. He researched this out thinking we got to get all of our scrapbooks scanned. Yes, we've been sitting on this for a year. No, we haven't scanned them yet. And yeah, the recent hurricanes totally got us motivated. So that's the backstory for why we got this scanner. It is awesome. So it comes with this, and then I'm pretty sure it came with this. I don't think this was like an add-on. Can you see well enough?
I can, yep.
If I speed it back maybe?
Totally.
When you set it on your table at home, they give you this mat. It's kind of a soft velvety feeling mat. It's black, and you just one page at a time. This is actually why I brought my scrapbook, so I could do a quick little demo. What I'm doing is I'm taking out one page at a time, and I am putting it in place, and then I hit the button. Now, I'm not doing that here. It's way too complicated to plug in all my scanners and do this full demo. That's why I'm saying I'll do a blog post on it later. But when you click that button and you have it connected to your computer, and I have all of mine automatically going into Dropbox folders, because Dropbox is my favorite backup place here at work and at home, then you're gonna get a scan, a clean, cropped, beautiful, well lit, because the light goes like that and then kind of comes back. It's perfect. It's a perfect scan. Now, one little heads up, one little glitch that I have found with the scanner that does not prevent me from talking about it is that when there is really dark background paper or the dark goes off the edge, the scanner does get confused because this is dark. So you just do this. So what I've done with those pages is I just move this out of the way. So it's just my regular countertop at home, and that's it. So that is what this is. I was starting to talk about the library thing. Molly actually was just in touch with the people at Fujitsu right before we did this broadcast to chat about this giveaway really quick. What's her name? Do you remember? Brianna. Sorry, I put you on the spot. Brianna was actually telling Molly to encourage people, if you go to your library and they don't have a big scanner that you can use, because obviously this is expensive. It's about $700, I think we found on Amazon. That's pricey. But if you don't want to purchase it, but you still want to have access to one thought is to tell your local library, hey, get this, right? And then the whole community can use it and share it and whatever. The other thought that I have on it is it would be really cool to consider going in with a few friends on this. So if it's $700 and there's 4 or 5 of you going in, or up to 7 of you going in, $100 or $150 is a whole lot better than several $100s. Another thought is that if you wanted to invest in this, because you've got a lot of scrapbooks and things to back up and scan, and you want to earn your money back, you could just do a little small business with the scanner and just charge people to scan their scrapbooks or their family history things or whatever. It's a thought. It's a thought. Okay.
Do you know how large that scanner will scan? Will it go larger than 12 by 12?
Yes. It totally does. I haven't done it myself, so I'm not going to pretend like I know. But the marks in here, I don't know what DL means, because we've got, this is letter A4, B4, A3, and this is DL, but I don't know what DL means.
Ledger, I think. 11 by 17.
Oh, it could be.
I think that might be.
It very well could be. So this could be.
And then here's these corner marks, so that does look like an 11 by 17.
I think you're right, Molly. It very well could be. I haven't done that yet, but they wouldn't put the marks there if it couldn't go that big.
Right.
So that's another thing I need to look into and see. Scan something larger than 12 by 12. Oh yeah, do you mind reminding me later? So I need to scan something larger than 12 by 12 and scan Project Life pages.
Yep.
Because can you imagine taking all the stuff out of pockets to scan? No, not ideal. But there's a workaround for that. Let's say this scanner totally leaves a glare. Now that's hypothetical. I don't think that it will. I don't know, but anyway, if it does, then my next suggestion actually leads into my next point, and that is to photograph your pages. Photographing your pages with, my iPhone's actually being used. I was going to show you my iPhone. With your your phone camera is free. It's not, to me, it's not quite as maybe nice as using a scanner and having everything completely already cropped for you and everything that magical technology does. But if you were in a pinch and you did have a few days, a hurricane's coming and you knew about it, for example, then you could quickly go through a handful of your albums and just straight down snap a picture of each page just in case. And my advice on that is no flash, natural light, get near a window or a door, make sure that window or door is wide open so you have that natural light just spilling in, but not direct sunlight. And then when you put that page, I'm actually going to just show you what I mean. When you put that page down in front of you, let's just pretend this is it. Oh, can I just see your phone really quick? Okay. So if I'm taking this, I'm not going to be here or even here. I want my camera, can they see this well enough
Yep.
when I'm out of frame? I want my camera lens to be exactly above so that my square is a perfect square. If you do even just off a little bit, this is no longer a perfect square according to the lens. So you go straight up, hold really still, and tap. That's the way that I take pictures of pages. And I do that sometimes.
Someone asked if a scanning app would be better than just using the photo on the camera.
That's yes, I'm so glad you brought that up because I have very little experience with scanning apps, but I've heard about several. I actually listed a few in the blog post. PhotoMyne, M-Y-N-E, is one of them that I've heard from several of you guys. And the scanning apps, and the reason why they're different than just taking pictures is I believe that when you do go to scan something or take the picture, it does do that automatic crop.
Several people are saying that.
Which is awesome. And so you might be wondering, well, then why the investment of $800, $700? You know, that's, again, I'm just giving you information. You decide for yourself. For me, I feel like this makes a lot of sense because I have 140 scrapbooks that I need to scan. And so setting it on my table and just literally rotating and putting page after page in there, it feels like the right decision for me.
Casey Von Stein, who we love.
Hey, Casey.
She mentioned that scanning apps are really great because they help to offset the glare on the
That's
picture
awesome.
pictures.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
So it can offset the glare, and it also might be able to help with straightening the angles. I've heard that before. I think you should totally look into that. If you've used a scanning app and you're aware of the pros and cons, please mention it right here. That's why we're having this discussion.
There's several that people are mentioning here, so this is fantastic. And someone just hopped on and asked if, since she missed part of this, if she can see it later.
Yeah, you can always watch the broadcast in its entirety later. So we're halfway through chatting through all of these tips on how to prevent losing your tangible memories in a natural disaster. And I'm going to keep going forward, but after we're done, feel free to start it from the beginning. Something else I said in the beginning that's worth repeating right now is if you feel like this is helpful information and you click share right now, sometime during the broadcast, share this with your friends and family right here on Facebook right now, and we will randomly select one of you who has shared to win a scanner. Now, it's not going to be that one, but it's my other favorite one. I have two favorites. This one is the one that I've actually been talking about for longer. This is not for scanning scrapbook pages. Not even a little bit, because there's no way that would work. Because instead of laying it on the table and having it scanned from above, this is a feeder scanner. So this is actually designed so that you can put a stack of photos, documents, whatever in here and scan it all at once. Do you see how these adjust? Is that viewable on the, I think I see it, okay. So what you want to do, if this is the other scanner I was going to talk about, this is called the ScanSnap IX500, right? Yes, IX500. All these fancy names that I had nothing to do with naming them. Otherwise, I would call them something different and easier to remember. With this scanner, and why I love it so much, in fact, it's sitting right now on if you go to BeckyHiggins.com, and we have a whole page of favorites, BeckyHiggins.com/favorites. Has all of our favorite random things, just random stuff that our whole team loves. This scanner is like, I don't even know how to function without it because we use it at home and we use it at work. This is our quick, easy, scans a whole bunch of stuff, really fast scanner. I used to use a flatbed where you'd have to open the lid and set something in, close the lid, hit the button, wait for it, open the lid, pull it out. So it's just not efficient. We're all for efficiency, right? So when you have, say, a stack of photos that haven't been scrapbooked or just they're photos, you want to get them backed up, you want to get them digitized, then you can take a whole stack of photos at a time. I'm not doing a full demonstration now. It's not even plugged in, but I'm just showing you. You take a stack. In this case, with this particular scanner, I go upside down. Can you guys see this? I adjust the things right here, and I hit start, and it goes that fast. It just runs the pictures through. If you go to YouTube and search Becky Higgins scanner, you'll see a quick 1.5-minute long demonstration of using the scanner.
When you're scanning an individual, like a pile like this, does it put each of them in their own individual file?
Yes. Each ends up as their own file. You have the ability to change all of the settings with this. So if I'm scanning a stack of photos like this, then every file, I want to be its own JPEG. if I'm scanning a 17-page document for work that I want to be a compressed document and it's a PDF and not a JPEG, no problem. I just change it to PDF and it puts them all together in one PDF file. If I have something that I need to scan both the front and the back, but I don't want to reload it every time, I hit duplex instead of simplex. I mean, it's so cool. And again, like, they're not sponsoring me to talk about this. My husband and I have been using it for such a long time. And we've been using it here at the office the whole time that we've been here. And it's just brilliant. It just makes so much sense. And so this can also be a great asset if you're interested. And it probably is like $500.
It's about $425 right now.
$425 on Amazon. That's lower than I last saw it. Yeah. So that's good.
And yeah, there's a link to it from our favorites page. A couple people asked what is the largest size on that. Do you
know?
One?
Yeah, yes, I do know. It's 8.5 by 11. Or, I mean, it could even be longer, but 8.5 is the width. And you adjust this. You might also wonder, what if you have a stack of things that are different sizes? No problem. You put different sizes within one stack, set it upside down, run them through, and each file will be not only its own JPEG if you set it that way, but it'll be cropped. It won't have all that extra space around, which is, again, just so cool. So when I've used this, I will take a bunch of my child's artwork or school papers or certificates or whatever. I will put a few groups of like sizes together. So instead of putting like big papers with little, little cutout whatever, I try to get them at least grouped in similar sizes and then run a few groups through in a batch. So, all right, have I talked enough about scanning? I mean, that's just kind of the no-brainer, like, you got to scan to back up your tangible memories. We'll talk about the digital stuff as well, but I also wanted to talk about workflow. So going forward, everything I've talked about so far really relates to if you already have completed albums or photo albums or whatever your documents are and they exist and you need to get them backed up. Okay, that's one thing. Going forward, if you are a scrapbooker or a documenter, what I would encourage you to do is consider your workflow to include that piece, that element of backing up. So here's an example, and feel free to chime in with your examples as well. But for me, I, as a Project Life app user, and I use it religiously every week, I'm totally caught up on my family's memories because I'm using the app and all that stuff. Well, when I complete a page, I know it's there in the app. It's there. But the app is technology, and technology of any kind, no matter who's behind the technology, can fail. You just never know. You never know when your kid deletes the app off your phone or drops it in the toilet and you lose everything, or you just don't know, right? And so you can't trust technology to be the safekeeping of all of your treasured memories. So my advice is, and what I do with using the Project Life app, is every time I complete a page, I actually tap on export and then I save it immediately and directly to a folder that I've got set up in Dropbox. And so I have a copy of every page I complete in another place. Okay, that's one example. Now here's my bad example. Not my bad example, but something that I haven't been doing is that when I complete physical pages, because I do make physical scrapbooks for my kids, that's a whole topic in itself, and you can go search it out on the blog. How catching up on kids albums. BeckyHiggins.com, you search catching up on kids albums, you can learn all about how I do it. But what I haven't been doing is when I complete pages that are physical pages with their stuff or whatever, I haven't been scanning that. And now I want to build that into my workflow. I finish a page, I scan it, throw it in Dropbox, move on to the next page. And the point of workflow is if you just do it as you're going, then it doesn't become a project later. All right, do you have anything to interrupt me with? All right, then I'm gonna keep going. Now, when it comes to hurricanes specifically is something that we've been talking about, or floods, something that I included in these tips comes directly from you guys who have been involved in hurricanes. You've been like buried in water at some point, or you've experienced a flood, and a lot of you were actually saying to use large plastic bags or totes. Now, I don't have any personal experience with this, but I was looking online, and because somebody suggested something, and at the Container Store they have these giant waterproof, airtight totes, so that if you were in that situation where some very bad weather is coming your way or whatever, then you have some like a day or so to pull things together, you could have those big totes on hand for preserving, and you could throw some scrapbooks or treasured memories in those and hope for the best. Now, I can't vouch for them personally. I have not yet used them, but it was totally worth including your input in this content because a lot of people were saying that could definitely work. Another thing is to consider the location of stuff in your home. And again, coming from other people who have been through this, there were people who were sharing with me, I had no idea that it would make a difference to have my scrapbooks tucked away in some closet down the hall and blah, 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 compared to if they were just on my shelf in the family room and we had to evacuate quickly because there was a fire, for example, real story that was shared with me. They could have just grabbed the scrapbooks right then because they only had about this many and they could have just grabbed them and they would have been safe. So consider the location of the items in your home. I don't think that everyone has to freak out about that, but it's just something that I hadn't thought about until other people shared it with me. And that brings me to the next point, and that is about having a list. Now, here's what's interesting about that. And this was somebody in Colorado who's been through a fire and was expressing to me how important it was for her. And the big lesson that she learned out of it is to have a list. So when fire's coming or hurricane's coming and you're evacuating or whatever, if you have a list of any kind that's already thought through and that you and your spouse or you and your family have said, these are the most important things that we need to grab other than each other, the family, the pets, whatever, then you're not in such a panic to try to remember. So the best way to describe an example of this is I think a lot of people think about their memories, their photos. So they're grabbing stuff, but they weren't thinking about grandma's handwritten recipes in the top cupboard of the kitchen. And that's an actual example that someone said to me. It wasn't until after we evacuated that I remembered that was like my most treasured item from grandma that I had were her handwritten recipes someone shares with me. And I'm like, you know what? That makes perfect sense. If you are totally in a panic to get out and evacuate, obviously you're going to be feeling all of those panicky feelings. And the last thing you can do is think super clearly about what exactly do you need to grab. So I think that the list idea is really great. Should I keep going?
Yeah, a couple people had a few little random questions.
Yeah.
What's the quality like of the scans from the Scan Snap?
Awesome sauce. Very good quality. You can set the DPI, that stands for dots per inch, I think, to whatever you want it to be. So the standard go-to, like, yep, that's going to be good enough if you reprint these one day in a photo book or whatever, is about 300 DPI. They go way higher than that. So you can set that to what you want. If you don't have experience with scanners, you may not realize that they are like legitimately good, high quality scanners. And so you have that option and you don't have to worry about them just being low res, and you just adjust your settings.
Someone asked how many pictures Dropbox would store for them.
So relative question, Dropbox you can get for free and it's limited. I don't remember how much. I don't remember.
Is it like 1 gig free or something?
I don't know, something like that. I don't remember, but I think we have unlimited because it's so inexpensive for how much space you get. It's insane. And between our work and our personal, it makes so much sense. But a lot of you who use Dropbox and who have the free version, please chime in with how much you're storing. I mean, I think most of us watching and participating right now probably have tens of thousands of pictures. And I don't know where the cutoff is, but on that note, I'll also mention that I know a lot of people love Google Photos. There's Amazon Photos. There's what else? I just blanked on another one. Hold on, what's it called? You guys chime in and tell us where you're storing your photos. They're backing up. It's not like there's just one place that's like the backup solution. That's why you don't hear me preaching about one backup solution. The idea and the theory is that if you have your stuff backed up in at least a few places, then you're much better off, because if something happens that's catastrophic to one of those platforms or those storage solutions, then all is not lost because it's also over here and also over here. I personally have everything backed up on the cloud, my iPhone, everything syncs with the computer, blah, blah, blah. And then I have Dropbox, and that's my other backup. And I do plan to do Google Photos as an additional backup. I just haven't started it yet.
There's also Amazon Prime Photos.
Yes. I thought I said Amazon. Sorry.
Maybe you did. Someone just mentioned it.
Yes, Amazon Prime Photos. I've heard nothing but good things about that. So
And Lindsay and Sean both said it's 5 gigabytes free on Dropbox.
Lindsay, as in Ross.
Uh-huh.
Sean, as in Irene.
Yeah.
People. I love our people. Thanks, Lindsay and Sean, for chiming in with that. Okay, so should I continue with the last few tips? All right, so another thing that people were saying that, again, I haven't thought about before because, again, I don't think this will happen to me, right? But they were talking about, obviously you can't fit like dozens of scrapbooks in a safe, but when it comes to safes, there were several people who said to me, make sure people know fireproof is one thing, waterproof is another. Please get safes that are fire and waterproof. I can't recommend brands. I don't know which ones. I haven't done the research. I am not pretending to be an expert on safes, but from what I understand from a lot of people right here in this community is that if you want to look for one and you haven't purchased one already, just make sure that it's fire and waterproof, because I can see how if it's fireproof that the water can, why couldn't it get in, you know? That would be really devastating. Okay, 3 more things I want to mention. This doesn't seem like a preventative thing, but it is. It's just a service-oriented way of being preventative. I am a big fan and advocate of self-reliance in life, in general. Get your stuff together. Make sure your life is in order. Yes, forever. Amen, and always. All of those things. Yes. When it comes to memory keeping, if you are in a position where, let's say you have a scanner, or let's say you've got all of your stuff backed up, so good for you. That is awesome. Help other people. Please help other people. And I don't mean just tangibly, right? Like if you have a scanner, share it. That would be awesome. Super great way to serve other people. But I mean sharing your knowledge. Just help other people around you understand how simple it can be to get their memories preserved and backed up and secured. So if anything were to happen, you know, just don't help just yourself, help others around you as well. That's kind of my thought there. Okay, 2 more things. Water resistant prints. This is interesting and something I have never really thought a ton about until all this was going on, and I'm seeing on the news and I'm seeing people with destroyed albums, photos, journal, like all these things, and they are gone. Well, it had me wondering a little bit more about our own water resistant quality of the prints that you can order through the Project Life app, through us. And so I actually took this upon myself to fill up our kitchen sink here at the office. And I'm like, let's just see what happens. I mean, I know that some companies claim to have water resistant prints. And I know that that is probably, the scale is huge of what that really means. And so I can't vouch for any other company. I will not pretend to be an expert on any other brand of photo printing or anything like that. But I do want to show you what happened when I soaked the prints here at our office. And these are prints I ordered directly through the Project Life app, okay? Here's a pile. I'm gonna get in close for this. So here are a couple of prints that I soaked for a couple of days. And Molly, are you able to see that they are slightly bending?
Yeah.
You guys see that? Just a little bit. Image quality on point. Not faded, not destroyed, not running, no colors are running. They're in great shape. In fact, if I scanned this, you would never know it's not even just a digital image. The paper is Fujifilm. It's Crystal Archive, okay? That's the paper that is used through our print partner, which is White House Custom Color. So, okay, that's first point. So see that little bit of curving? In fact, if I put them together like that,
yeah.
I'm not holding super steady, but you get the idea. Very subtle, not a big deal. Then I took a couple of our 8x8 scrapbook pages that I made through the Project Life app. I wanted to see what would happen to those. They're a little bit larger. We have 8x8, we have 10x10, and we have 12x12 prints as well. And obviously 4x6. All of this was printed through the Project Life app. If you didn't know, you can do that, okay? So again, here are those prints soaking in water after a couple of days. No problem with the colors running. Little bit bended. Wow. When I talk for a long time, my English gets real special. Okay, so that's kind of the effects. This is what I wanted to also point out. Can I see that okay? Okay, right here by my finger, that is, okay, back up. We have slick writers. The slick writers are meant to write on photographic paper and any slick surface. They're awesome. They're in our shop, shopbeckyhiggins.com. They're thebomb.com. Great. Well, what happens when it gets wet? This page soaked for a couple of days in our sink, and without touching it, and this, I gotta back up. When you create app pages, the idea is that you add your captions and your journaling in the app, you print it, it's done, you put it in your album. But we've released these pens so that if people want their handwriting on their app pages, it's like the blend. It's a, what's the word? Oh my gosh.
Where you do
yes,
two different types of scrapbooking all together?
What's it called? Oh my gosh.
I use it all the time.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, come on.
Oh, I can't even.
Hybrid.
Thank you. Did somebody say that? Yeah. Thank you. Okay, you guys.
Lindsay, Sherry, Lindsay, Danny.
Thank you, everybody. Hybrid. Wow. You would think it's like 11 at night. It's the middle of the day. It's been a busy couple of weeks. Okay, so hybrid is making the pages in the app, printing them, adding the journaling with the pen, so it's your handwriting. Super cool. Well, when they're getting wet, when they get wet and soaked, you see there on the right-hand side, your right-hand side, no problem. The left-hand side, see how it's a little bit faint and purplish? That is me, after it's soaked for 2 days, rubbing my finger on it. I went like this and rubbed, just because I wanted to see what's gonna happen. It's still there, but I faded it out. But it didn't go away when I didn't touch it. That was so cool. That's so cool. All right, enough about that. Water resistant, my point, the bottom line is, because maybe you're not printing directly through the app. You should try it. Guarantee. If you have ordered through the app, feel free to leave a comment and tell us about your experience. If you haven't, and if you don't plan to, and you just want to print on your own wherever, my best advice is just do your research. Just do your homework. Look into it. Ask the company or look on their website or experiment. Do your own experiment in your own kitchen sink and see what happens to the prints when they receive water damage. All right, I have one last thing. And then let's just open this up for questions and comments and whatever else you guys want to talk about, and then we'll go. Consider digital or app scrapbooking. I love all of it. Like I said, I still currently to this day create physical albums for my kids. I love it. I don't plan to change that because that's how I can include all of their stuff. But for my family albums, the reason why I switched, well, there's like 10,000 reasons why I switched from 12 by 12 elaborate scrapbooks like this with creative-based pages to using my phone, laying in bed once a week and spending 5 minutes making the page layout for that week. I won't go into all the reasons, but when it comes to preventing disaster, the reason why that is something that I wish every scrapbooker would consider as an option is because when you do that and you create your pages digitally or through the app, you're not using actual photographic prints. You're not using scrapbooking supplies. It's all digital. And when it's digital and you created it, that page, and you print it out and you stick it in your album, or you print the photo books, which we also do through the app, and that's all done. If those get destroyed, you reprint. You just reprint. And I know that sounds easier than, I know that could be pricey. Obviously, none of us want to have a disaster that destroys our memories, but it isn't lost. The first version was destroyed, but you can always reprint. And that's why I am such an advocate of digital and app for so many reasons, but that's one with regards to this topic that we're talking about.
Someone said they need to transition to digital or app scrapbooking, but they're wondering how you use your husband's and your children's photos that they take in your
pages. Okay, that's actually a really great question. So I will tell you what my family does. In our family, we have, I have like, when I say we, it's like me and the child. So me and Porter and me and Claire. Because David, my husband, he's been a little bit spoiled by a wife who's a diehard documenter. So he really like takes 2 pictures a year. Like really. Because I take them all. And when and if he does take pictures, he just shares them with me. So same with my kids. I have a shared folder. And anytime they take a picture that they're like, Mom would like this, they throw it in there. Vice versa. And so what's nice about that is that if I'm like, you know what, this picture's got to go in their album or in the family album, I'll just save it to my camera roll, and then it's there when I'm making my app pages. So I think there's ways to get around doing that in different ways, but that's how we do it.
We are having some connection issues. The video keeps getting fuzzy in and out. So
shoot. Okay. Well, we're about done anyway. So if there were questions, I know this was like a lot of information to share. I mostly just wanted to put it all out there and invite you to go to the blog and just check out the post in writing, in case I know everybody likes to receive information and consume content in different ways. And if you're a reader, there's not one picture in that whole post, because all of the information was so important to me to get out as quickly as possible. Irma was on its way to Florida, and I just felt like people need this information, so I didn't even care about the visual support. I just got it out there, and it's a very robust blog post that it comes very much from my heart, but it's super, super inclusive of a lot of people's input. This is not just coming from my brain. This is like a lot of people contributed. Real people in this community who said, this is what has happened to me, and this is what I've done, and this is what I've learned, and please, I hope other people learn not the hard way like I did. So
someone asked if the pages in our photo books are water resistant. Like
yeah. In fact, when we first got them, I don't know if you were here for that, Molly, but when we first got them, I actually used a water bottle and sprayed the pages, and I poured water on one of the pages, and Carrie was like, what's she doing? I'm like, okay, we just have to use one photo book as like a test, just so that we know. And so they are water resistant. However, when I checked with my contact at White House Custom Color, WHCC, that's our print partner through the app, and asked them and talked to them about like this whole water resistant thing, he did say, like, no matter where your photo books are from, the way that they're bound, and because there's a tree component that's using paper to create the binding of, forget about the pages in itself or on the inside, but even just the book itself, they're gonna get soggy. It's gonna get ruined. So, but again, if you've created it, you can always reprint it. So, okay.
Someone mentioned on here, if you lose all of your prints in a disaster, insurance probably would pay to reprint them. That's interesting.
I don't know anything about flood insurance. And if that's true, if anyone here listening can verify about insurance helping to cover the cost of reprinting, then definitely chime in with that. I do want to segue from that point right into telling you about something that we're doing to try to help people who have lost their memories. And by the way, in that blog post, what we just talked about, the preventative stuff, is like the first part of the blog post. Actually, the first part is some stories of people with actual real life experience with losing their memories or whatever. The second part is all this stuff we just talked about. And the third part is how you can move forward if you actually did lose your tangible memories and you think all is gone and lost forever. There's like 7 or 8 tips in there that are going to make you think a little differently than maybe you were already thinking about how all is not lost and how to move forward. That is kind of its own little mini topic, but it's in the blog post. So having said that, what I wanted to let you guys know about is we just launched something that we're going to try today. We don't know if it's going to stick or gain any traction, but we have had a deep desire to help the victims of natural disasters in many ways. But when it comes specifically to those who have lost their tangible memories, we've had a lot of you guys say, we want to help our fellow documenters, our fellow scrapbookers. I have supplies, I can donate them. What can I do? What can I do? So as a team, we decided that it would make a lot of sense if we help to facilitate you guys helping each other. And so what we're doing actually takes place completely on Instagram. And that's because we can't manage doing it all over the place. And we've chosen Instagram because right there in Instagram stories, all those little 10-second video clips, we have the ability to just quickly and immediately just share any people that have shared with me through direct message on Instagram, their stories, experiences, or pictures of how they've lost their tangible memories in one of the recent disasters, whatever's going on, whatever they've lost or whatever's been damaged or whatever. If you share that with me or point me to somebody who has lost, then we're going to be posting that and sharing it and putting that out there to the rest of the community, which is full of people who just want to help. And then that's how we can help, again, facilitate the helping of each other. So definitely, if you're interested in donating product or maybe even just donating a little money to somebody who just doesn't have the resources now because they're rebuilding their home, but they would love to either reprint their pictures or whatever, then it's all happening over on Instagram. Okay, I think we're done. Are we done?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we
Yeah.
covered a lot. Thank you for being here. Our next broadcast is going to be sometime next week. Stay tuned for that information, but it's probably going to be Happy Hour with Carrie and Wendy. And that's where about once a month or so, Carrie and Wendy get on and they answer all of your questions like this live that have to do with the Project Life app. So if you ever just kind of wish that you had somebody sitting next to you to show you how to do something or explain things, that's what they do that for. So thanks again for being here, you guys. And again, if you clicked share, you've got like 10 seconds. If you click share on this broadcast right now during the broadcast, you have a chance of winning this Scan Snap, the IX500, which is like awesome. Okay. Thank you guys, by the way. Thanks for sharing. And especially thank you for all of the contributions you've made and the tips that you've shared on how we can help each other prevent potential loss of memories. Okay. See you guys.